All right, guys, let's take a look at the deck profile real quick before we even get into any local stuff. I want to show you where the deck is right now. That way you have an idea of how the deck has kind of transformed over the last couple weeks. Yeah, because we do have some changes I've been making every single week, and there's no short of them this week. So, well, I guess there's one really big change. But also look at this old My Hero mat that I used to use. Man, I used to love My Hero, and now this new season's kind of been whack for me. I don't know. If you're a My Hero fan, let me know how you feel about this new season, because I'm not been the biggest personal fan. Anyway, we'll get a more in-depth profile if I actually top this locals and stuff, and I want to make a full profile about it. But for this, real quick, we're just going to skim through and show you where the list is at currently. 3 of ZEFRAS, ZEFRAS, and ZEFRAXy. They're the best ones. They are your like play makers, pretty much. Then you have Thubin, Pilica, Naga, Wendy, and Fraxiton. Pops face downs, pops face ups, reborns a Zefra, bounces a scale back to hand, and adds a face up Zefra card from extra deck back to your hand. So really good. They all do their purpose, and you want to see a low scale. So there you go. The new package, Magical Musketeers. You probably weren't expecting this unless you really know Zefra as well. Long story short, this just replaces the Madolche engine because it seems to be a little bit more powerful, just a higher ceiling. Just one Starfire really is going to be worth like a 3 link materials instead of just 2, including like a rank. It could be a rank 4 and a link 1 if you want, but excuse me. There's just a slightly higher ceiling there, so really cool. The only downside with them is that you do want to commit to them a little bit earlier in the play because they just need like spells activated under them, so that is kind of a downside. Can somewhat clink with like Gamma or Path potentially, but it hasn't really come up in testing, to be honest. Triple Gamma and the driver, and then the 2 Ash finishing off the monsters. This is pretty standard. I might potentially want to try and find room for Dimension Shifter in the main. Shifter just seems so insane in like every format for the last like 2 years that I would consider it here. Then for the spells, for the Zefra stuff, triple path, well, quadruple path, quadruple providence, or sorry, triple providence and 1 path. You got to play path still, even though it's a little bit clunky with the magical musket stuff. It's really good. Like, I don't know, just consistency and then like a crazy win condition. You play them. Just play them. Finishing up the spells, 1, 1, and 1 here. I hate this. If I get 2 more prosperity, we'll do this. I'm going to check at locals if they have any prosperity, and if they do, I'll probably buy them and swap them in for this. So just keep an eye on that. It'll just bump consistency even more, because these are just like not this. This card's crazy. And then for the traps, triple war, 1 strike, and 1 9 pillars. Really good. I would almost consider putting war to 2 at some point, but I don't even know what I'd put in for it, so I still think 3 is really good. Sometimes you open it and you're really happy you opened it, so I'm not really hating on it too much. For the extra deck, real quick, controller max, because we want to be able to bait more negates or play through more negates with the magical musket package. Lambda, Lina, again with the muskets, makes this a little bit easier to make, but we also have Thubin and Fraxiton in the decks. This actually isn't the hardest thing to make anyway. Then we have Asa, then we have Masquerada, and the Unicorn. Yeah, I mean, it's all solid utility. Link 4s, Appaloosa, and Access Code. Because the magical muskets actually get you 3 materials on board, sometimes you literally just look at it and you're like, wow, I can pen summon 2 Zefras, Zefra New and something else. And so you just make a 4-mat Oppo, including the magical musket cards, because you have 3 different named magical muskets, plus whatever non-Zefra New monster. And then you have Zefra New Search, which gets you like 9 pillars. And so you just end on like Omni Negate, 4-mat Appaloosa, and then when you Omni Negate something with the 9 pillars, you'll search for a Zefra War. So you have like, just off of that, format Appaloosa, Omni Negate, and a Dryden pop. Crazy. And then access code. It's access code. What do you want from me? For rank 4 is 1 Gallon Granite and 1 Baguska. This is your defensive card. This is your more, I guess, offensive, but it really just helps you play. Consistency card that you can make off of the Magical Musket package just to search for ZEFRAS because he is a rock. Sheridan and Horus, I've only done this play 2 or 3 times so far, but man, every time I've resolved it, I've won the duel, so still playing that. Then Crocodile Dragon and this is there for the search any monster play, and this is there for when you gamma your opponent on your turn. By the way, guys, if you gamma your opponent on your turn, like, the duel is over. You just win. I've never even been threatened afterwards. They're playing with 2 less cards. You've got a recurring beater, and your play resolved anyway, so crazy. All right, then finishing up here with the side deck, triple Shifter, triple Phantasme, triple Crow for the hand traps. This is really solid. To be honest, like I said, I might find room for Shifter in the main at some point, but Crow's there for strikers just to keep their best grind cards out of the game. And Phantasme is really good versus like a good portion of the meta, but not literally everything. So we're keeping it in the side. And then obviously Shifter is insane, makes like most decks pass. 1 Kumungus, 1 Gamma Seal. I think I was just sitting on my car alarm. Okay, Gamma Seal, Kumungus, and Pankratops finishing up the side deck monsters. This is just for random stuff. Like if I play a Drytron player that does play the Herald stuff, I do want to be able to clear that. And then Pankratops just generically good. But also like adding Nisters, this works around. Like there's random stuff like Wind Barrier, Statue, Shenanigans. There are definitely some decks that are like really annoying like that. So, yeah. And for spells, Mind Control and Feather Duster, this is just, I don't need to explain this. And then this is just really cool because we're a Pendulum deck. It just helps us like get to a Link 2 before our Pen Summon, essentially. Like steal an opponent's monster, normal summon a monster, make a Link 2, and then Pen Summon. It's pretty good. Like it's taking a resource away from your opponent, baiting a negate, like baiting their best negate, right? Like targeting a Savage, targeting a Sphere, whatever, like, you're playing against. Battle Butler, right? Like this card actually feels really good right now, and nobody really plays it. And the last cards here are evenly matched. I'd probably play Lightning Storm in this slot if I had access to it, because it can be Raigeki if you want. I don't know. I think Raigeki is a little bit better than evenly. Don't lose your battle phase. Not that this deck really cares about the battle phase that much, but I think it's slightly better. But this card's still pretty good. I haven't run into much back row decks at locals, but I do want to be ready for when I do, because I do know there are a couple of them, Altergeist and stuff, running around. So, yeah, that's going to do it real quick for the profile. Let's get back to some regularly scheduled programming, you know what I'm saying? All right, guys, I'm back with round 1 results. Played against Tri Brigade. Had to take a huge dookie right before round 1 started, so I was definitely rushed and stressed in the bathroom, but made it happen, made it in time. So here's how I went. Game 1, lost the die roll to Tri Brigade. He pretty much opened a pretty good hand. It was like Fractal, Desires, plus an extender. What was the extender? Oh, and Tenki. So he like Fractal to set up everything. Tenki got him Wrap here for extra material, and he pretty much just set up everything else. And then Desires, he said he Desires and double Desires. It didn't really matter. I actually opened a pretty good hand for going second, but he just had like literally like the whole setup. He had Revolt. Revolt was really hard to work around. I could have potentially ended on 1 interruption. I don't think so, though. Like, once I actually cleared it, because I cleared his Oppo with a War I hard opened after setting up Scales. And then I searched Path and activated it pretty much to force out the Revolt, because if he doesn't activate it then, it is then turned off. He banished the Floodgate, and then I was able to pretty much just make a Gravity Controller and spin the Charade, but that's about as good as it got. Cleared his board, but he had like 5 cards in hand. It just didn't matter. And he had Ash for my final search. I was actually going to finish my turn by searching a follow-up interruption, and he just had the Ash. He saved it the whole time, which is good on him, because he saved it for like the most crucial piece, probably the last chance I had to like set up an interruption for him going back into his turn, but couldn't happen. Took the dub on the next turn. Then game 2 went first. Opened, man, it was like ZEFRAS, Thubin, Zephranu, Gamma, and Called by the Grave. What really hurts here is I got one more Prosperity, so I have 2 and not 3, but I took out Upstart for Prosperity, and so Called is the last card I would swap for the 3rd Prosperity. So if that was Prosperity, I just needed to find ZEFRAS, and obviously I had to play, but I didn't. So I just set Called, and I ended up Calling and Gammaing him on like Fractal and whatever his normal summon was. And it wasn't enough. I mean, I got back to my turn. I didn't draw. I didn't draw ZEFRAS or a way to it. I think I just drew a Zephyr War off the top. So I had an interruption, but he had so many cards in hand. He had like so many cards to set up for the follow-up that it just didn't matter. So easy 2-0, tough to see, tough round 1, but I can still go 4-1 to finish it out, and hopefully we'll do that. But there's the round 1 summary there. Sorry about the weird angles and stuff. I'm gonna get better at this stuff as we go, but for now, this is how we're doing it. So gotta get back in there. Hopefully round 2 goes better than this and we can get it back to even. So stay tuned. Okay guys, round 2 in the books. Played this weird Invoked, Blue Eyes, Nemesis deck. He just had like crazy text all over the place. I think he was a little bit of a newer player, but game 1, I super duper bricked. Yeah, really like unplayable. I drew like 1 low scale, a Zephyr War, both names of Magical Musketeer monsters, and like something else. I want to say Driver was the last card, but I don't even want to say for sure. But it was awful. It was literally like he went first. He made like a Macabre. He passed. I lost. It was over. Game 2, I kind of, it went a little better. The hand was definitely kind of nice, actually. He didn't know what to side, so he didn't side anything because I didn't show him anything. I kind of just scooped without playing anything in game 1. It was pretty easy, pretty standard. I just kind of set up basic Zephyr stuff, and then when he tried to go Macabre, I just ended up Zephyr Warring it off the field. He didn't have a trap in hand, and kind of like easy dub. And then game 3, sorry, I'm drifting with the camera. I'm going to get better with that. Game 3... What happened game 3? He made Jaglubion going first, and I gammed it, and he actually had material to make a Verte, and he did not, and I kind of just mopped it up from there. I will say, I sided Kydras and I drew Kumungus for turn, so I don't think it really would have mattered if he made Dragoon there. He did say he just like forgot. He's, like I said, newer player, still learning his deck. Don't blame him at all on that. But I did draw Kumungus, which I just ended up discarding for no, like, just because later on. So off of a Unicorn. So mopped it up, went access code, dealt a bunch of damage. He didn't have a follow-up, and then I killed him on the following turn. Pretty nice. I'll take the dub. The 2 games we won felt really clean. When the deck opens consistent, it really works. You just gotta avoid those really bad hands there. So cool, 1-1. Hopefully we can continue the streak here. See if we can win out, man. If we can go 4-1, I will be super happy, but we'll see. All right, I'll be back with round 3. Okay, back with the round 3 recap. Sorry I didn't get any pictures. Sometimes I literally just like get into it and I literally just forget. At least I say sometimes, like this isn't the first week I'm actually trying to do it. So apologies on that. It's just gonna be me here, no pictures or video or anything. I'm gonna get better at it, guys, I swear, as we get further into it. I'm just trying to break into this format and get better at it, get used to it. But this round played against Trap Tricks, one of my old loves. Actually, still one of my loves. I love Trap Tricks. Game 1, he seemed like he opened the nuts. But I'm not playing a deck that really loses to the kind of nuts that Trap Tricks actually set up. So it was a really grindy match. He ended up like grave diggering me twice, I think, and like I got striked, I got everything. Like he literally had everything at some point. He torrentialed me. I actually forgot I had Providence. This is definitely a huge misplay. I would have won the game way faster if I had remembered I had Providence engraved, because he tried to torrential like 4 monsters off the board. I could have saved 2 of them and just put even more pressure on him, but that's my fault. But I still ended up grinding it out, taking the dub, just because of the matchup. It's just so awkward for Trap Tricks. A lot of their trap cards do not really scare me too much. A little bit, not a ton though. And then game 2, let's see what happened game 2. Didn't open a Trap Tricks monster. He didn't. I ended up, like, just to put it in perspective, I opened Phantasme, never got to use it over the course of like an 8-turn duel. I just kind of kept chipping in for like 1,500 or 1,900 with either Zefraxi or Zefraxiton, and then eventually I just never summoned because I didn't want to give him a chance to torrential me or like flip everything face down or anything and negate a summon, and I just ended up poking for game. I had Ashes in hand, I had Phantasme, I had a lot of disruption actually set up, so I wasn't even scared even if he did draw into a Trap Tricks monster, and he never did, and it's unfortunate because he didn't even have a chance to try and play, but just had to wiggle around the trap cards and eventually got in at him. So took the 2-0 dub this round, so that puts us at 2-1. We're kind of back on it, we're back on track. We can finish undefeated, 2 more rounds. We can definitely top here. I'm going to give it a run. I'm going to see what I can do, but I will keep you updated on that. Yay. Oh boy, I am squatting in my car because the lighting is weird if I just sit up normally because I'm a little too tall. So like the shadows are weird. So we're going to squat down a little bit. I found my glasses, by the way. I literally lost these for like 2 years and I found them. So I can actually see cards better. I haven't even gotten new glasses since these. So great. Anyway. Sorry we skipped round 4. I finished with like on time. Like we had 30 seconds left. We finished game 1 and then immediately had to jump into the next round, so I couldn't cover that. But really quick, recapping everything. Round 4, we played against Phantom Knights. This was a somewhat new player. He said he'd only been playing for like 7 or 8 months. And from what it looked like, he played everything except for Dragoon for the Phantom Knight build, which is fine. I think you can make non-Dragoon Phantom Knight builds and still have a really powerful deck. But he made a misplay game 1 early on. Forgot to trigger something. I don't remember. It might have been a graph engrave. It was a really bad like forget to trigger, but we kind of went too far and then he realized it, and it's just tough. And then we ended up in just like a crazy grind match. He kept just reviving. He just kept getting like what is it, Fog Blade turn after turn after turn, reviving his Bardiche, and then he actually ran out of things to send eventually. Or he ran out of spells and traps to set. He literally just ran out of them and had no way to resolve Rusty anymore, because I believe he forces you to set the spell and traps. If you don't have a spell and trap, you cannot resolve him. And I just ended up grinding him out, like slow and steady. I went into access code, dealt him a bunch of damage, and he never really got that close. He dinged me for a little bit, but never got close, and then we were just right on time, and he's like, I can't even get enough monsterage on board. He kind of held me off a good bit just with the rotating fog blades, and then continually reviving with the fog blades every turn. So it wasn't bad on his end, but just wasn't enough to really get it all the way there. So took it there. We took it in time, and then we didn't even have enough time to like start game 2. So I just took it there. I mean, just a 1-0 win. Not the way you always want to win, but I felt pretty confident going into the next game. He didn't know my deck that well, but I know his deck, so yeah. And I think the matchup's pretty good too. If I could just set up path, duel's over. And then we got to round 5, so we were 3-1. I told you guys we'd come back. We were down 0-1 to start, 3-1 there. We go into round 5. It's a guy who's a pretty good regular, and he's a good player. This guy's a good player. There, he was playing Virtual World, and I win the die roll, luckily. I go first, and I open a pretty damn good hand. He even has an Ash in hand, and he wants to keep me off ZEFRAS, so he Ashes Oracle, and then I Gamma. So he knows the deck better. He knows if he keeps you off ZEFRAS, like, you can't do anything. So he tried to do that. It didn't work out for him because I had the Gamma, and I just kind of popped off with Omega, and then pretty much just played like Omega Control pretty much the whole time. Kept ripping a card out of his hand, kept like getting a trap every turn, and he just couldn't keep up with it. Connected to a Chuche once, but I removed it, and then wasn't a big deal. And then I had Providence's engrave at that point, so it just didn't even matter. So got game 1. Then we go to game 2. Game 1 was actually pretty long. It ended up being a pretty nasty grind match. And then we ended up in game 2 with about 10 minutes left. I side, and we draw our hands. Sorry about the pictures, guys. I really forgot about the pictures again. Such a dope. But my hand is like this. I want to remember it exactly. It's like Zefraxi, Providence, Gamma, Mind Control, Pankratops. Hand was cracked. So cracked. I try to gamma him on his Lulu and he ashes it, which I'm always game for, by the way. I think the gamma player like always wins that interaction almost all the time. So he didn't really set up that scary of a board. He just ended on like Shen with a oh, he activated Prosperity and found Imperial Order. Thank God I opened Pankratops, otherwise I just lost. So pretty much I just summoned Pankratops, try to mind control Shen. He trains Imperial Order, and I chain Pank, popping the Imperial Order. So I steal Shen and clear his Imperial Order. His board is almost clear except for a King Long face up. And then I just do the other last two cards in the hand. Providence for Oracle, Oracle for ZEFRAS. ZEFRAS sends ZEFRAS, pen summon him after activating ZEFRAXI and having scales. Get a search for another interruption. Make a Lambda, just so I have that. I know he had King Long on field, but I still wanted to make the Lambda to at least force it out. I don't know. I didn't really have another option. I had to make something because I didn't want the Shen to go to grave. I didn't really have a great option. And of course, I looked at his grave and I was like, ooh, I can make Asa. And he didn't have any Earths in grave because I know that deck's like half wind, half Earth, I'm pretty sure. And he didn't have any Earth. So I was like, come on. And then we passed on that with like a trap and the gamma. I attack him directly, by the way, because we're getting close on time. So he's down 17. He reborns his Shen and beats over for 11, but not quite enough. And then I end up drawing for turn, re-pen summoning. From there, getting another search. And pretty much he just can't get a second monster on field. He keeps reborning Shen, he keeps beating over ZEFRAS, but ZEFRAS keeps getting these searches, so I'm just gaining resources, and he can't really put a second monster on the field to put damage on me. And I had a war ready, even if he did try to put another monster on the field, so I wasn't really too worried about it. And then we hit time. Like we were rushing, I was trying to go fast for him, and I was about to like take the game over completely anyway, because I was just gaining resources and he really wasn't. So the game would have been over sooner than later, regardless. So took the 2-0 win in round 5 and actually got our first ZEFRAS top. I'm glad, because I was thinking about trying B Troopers next week at local, so I wanted to get one legit top. We ended up with 3rd place, I think. Tiebreakers weren't amazing. I don't think there was an undefeated player this time around, so just tiebreakers ended me up in 3rd, but I will take that all day. Got a little bit of store credit, got some packs, and I opened an Ulti Hulk. I should have done this on camera. Oh, I opened Ulti Hulk out of my 2 OTS 15 packs, and I completely whiffed on that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to get better and better at this. We're going to get everything right. I'm going to do everything we're supposed to do. But yeah, finally got 1st place. That's the list. I still think I'd change some things about the list. I really want to take the muskets out. I did get a 2nd prosperity, which definitely helps. I might just play Shifter in the main if I were to continue playing this deck going forward. Take out, maybe I'd keep Called and just take out the muskets, like the 4 musket cards, and play the 3rd prosperity and 3 Shifter. A little bit better going 2nd. I think the muskets are okay going 2nd, but I do think Shifter just straight up ends turns, so you really can't overstate how good that can be. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up this week's locals. Thanks again, guys. I'm gonna get better and better. Hopefully this is a little more entertaining than just looking at me looking at a dueling book page and the deck list there. So yeah, more to come. Hopefully maybe B Troopers next week. I actually think the deck does some pretty cool things, and also other content with B Troopers, deck profile, maybe some test hands, maybe some combo tutorials, all that stuff to come. So thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace. Subscribe if you haven't and you want to see more stuff like this. Peace. Finally got that top, man. So good.